Hi and welcome to another Photoshop manipulation video, and for this week guys what we're going to be doing is focusing on how I went about creating this particular image. This is kind of like based on a lost traveler on an alien world coming across this alien superstructure lost in kind of like a jungle. Now in regards to this, I did put a sketch together which I do apologize I have deleted, but coming up on your screen now is just some of the main photos that I actually used. So I basically went searching about for a couple of hours trying to find different ways to actually bring this image to life, and these are the main ones that I actually used. So without further ado, let's just jump into the video and let's see how I went about creating this. Okay, so first of all what I did was take this photo that is from Vietnam, that is going to be our actual background for this image. I placed it into Photoshop and I used channels to actually cut the sky out. So I made sure the sky is as white as possible, and obviously the part that we actually want to keep as black as possible. Then that way we could just remove the sky quite easily. Next up I just placed this planet, which we will be changing at a later date. I thought it was going to look okay, but it just didn't quite resonate with me too well. Now, next up is the actual foreground. Now, for the actual foreground, what I did was, especially in this kind of area, was to cut out all the leaves and stuff like that. They're quite easy to cut out, so I wanted to add all that extra bit of detail in, so I just took an extra few minutes to cut them out as well. So this is kind of where I went a little bit wrong. Now, when I done the sketch, I thought that this was going to look okay, but looking at it now, it just didn't really suit too well. The right hand side of this foreground was just taking up too much room, and it just really looked out of balance. So I cut that out and just went along with the rocks and that up. Next up is going to be one of the main parts of our structure. Now this is a structure, I think it's a shot actually in the Middle East, so quite easy to cut out. Placed it straight onto the image there. Next up we've got this UFO building. Not too actually sure where this is shot, but an absolutely fantastic photo anyway, and we're going to place this on the top. Now obviously we've got this shrine that's in the middle there that needs to be removed. So basically all I did was use a lasso tool, cut out part of the background, Control J, and moved it over. And then with this bit, basically as you can see, so the structure can stand up, I'm just using the platform that was already there, that was for that shrine, and moving that across. Now with this particular bit, I'm just once again just covering over parts of the area using the clone tool, copying different areas and warping them into place. I found out that I should have really worked out where the man went, because I didn't need to do as much as this, so that was a bit of a mistake on my part. Next thing was up to clear up the UFO, the bottom of it, make sure we got rid of these trees and stuff, because obviously there was no trees in the way or nothing. I used the clone tool to start off with, but it wasn't really working whatsoever, so I ended up painting it on. This is where I made a little bit of a mistake. Now, as you can see, the lines are slightly curved. Now, I just put these straight lines on and it looked really odd, so I went back and corrected that, and it looked a lot better overall. Now, in this stage, I thought I was going to keep along with some of the color, and so this is why I've left it, and I went along painting all the different bits of color. Another little bit of a mistake of mine, I should have probably thought a little bit ahead, and I decided in the end that I didn't want them whatsoever. Now it's just basically the same principle with this as well. I'm using both techniques. I'm using the clone tool, and I'm also painting out all the areas as well that I actually don't want, because obviously we've got all these lines coming down. Now we've edited out the UFO, they've got nothing to connect on or anything else like that, so we need to make sure that we can get rid of all these parts. These bits are a little bit fiddly and are a little bit annoying to say the least, and like I say, if I'd have definitely gone with no color straight away, like as you see there, it would have been a lot better. Basically with the color, all I did was just use the hue and saturation and just drop the saturation down for those particular colors. Now as you can see, I went with a different planet in the background as I'm adjusting the way that this structure is to make sure that it's completely balanced, because it looked a lot better, and the light source was a lot better as well. Now moving this structure, basically all I'm doing is Control J it, so I'm just basically moving them to the side just slightly, so that the UFO's got more room to sit on, because obviously he's got the base underneath. Now I was going to remove some of the slants that were going to come out, but I actually in the end really enjoyed him, so I left it away, and all I did was then cut out the middle, so we just had the proper tunnel going through. And I really liked the way this actually looked, and perfectly is that the actual bottom of the structure kind of like matched the top of the structure as well in the color and stuff like that. So now we have these alien sculptures. I'm not too sure where in particular these were actually shot from. I come across this a little while ago, thought they were cool, so I just stored them away on my computer just in case I wanted them from a rainy day, and today was the day. So basically, as you can see, I'm just going around with the pen tool painstakingly and just cutting it all out just to make sure that it's absolutely perfect as we take it all out. well. So with this, I thought this would really give it that nice little alien vibe, you know, just to try and set the piece right the way off. Now the next thing is to try and basically work out exactly where I wanted them to go. So I put one on one side and one on the other, just so that it looks kind of like balanced and whatnot else. The idea was to, first of all, was to place them in the front, but it wasn't going to look right. Next thing up is to try and correct everything. So basically all I did was start darkening and color balancing everything in. So with the background, as you can see, just using getting rid of the brightness, drop the brightness right down, then use some exposure, then use color balance, and made all the corrections there, as you can see, so that it kind of like matched the blue spacey kind of background in the right at the back. So with this, I'm now trying to I'm darkening up all the little fringing and stuff like that was happened when we removed the sky. And then also, as you can see, I'm just trying to put the light source in. Same principle now with the foreground as well, dropping the brightness right the way down, bit of exposure, color balance, and adding some light onto the ground as well. And once again, we are going to do the exact same thing with the UFO. Now obviously, as you can see with the UFO, the way it's sat right now, I will be making changes later on. Now this is kind of like the way that I thought it was going to go, and as you're going to see, I'm going to be making a bit of a mistake in regards to the way that the bottom of the structure, the foundation is. Now, I thought it'd be a bit better to have it quite a lot more darker than just having some light streams coming up at the bottom. It just wasn't really working for me whatsoever. No matter how much I was playing around with the idea, it just did not look right at all. So I was just trying different things. I even stopped the video and tried to put something else in there instead, and it just wasn't working for me. So I ended up making sure that it was a lot brighter, and I had some other ideas moving forward instead. So as you can see, it's all starting to come together now. But obviously, one thing we wanted is this guy's going to be coming through a jungle. We wanted a lot more foreground as well. So we're just placing some PNG trees that I found some stock images online. As you can see, we've got some a little bit forwarder where the water is, and some right up close, and we're blurring there. So we've got a nice bit of foreground, so we've got some nice sense of depth in the actual image as well. So we've got a foreground, we've got a middle ground, and also the background as well. So as you can see, we wanted them to have a nice little traveler. So this is the guy that I chose. I thought it was absolutely perfect. Little backpack, he's walking through, and we're just going to place him here, just walking through the basically through the woods along this like this stream, looking onto this. Now comes up adding some atmosphere and everything into the image. Basically what you're seeing me using at the moment is just a combination of some fog brushes, normal brushes, painting on some areas, making sure that we've got some fog and everything behind the building itself, you know, really like give that sense of depth. So like the backgrounds really start to blur out, you know, where the actual mountains are, and then we started seeing a little bit more clearer as we're coming forward. Now we're just changing, so now I'm adding some highlights. So I'm using hue and saturation for this. I use the color correct. So basically then I controlled it and then just painted on some rim highlights and stuff, really starting to match those kind of lights that we're getting from the light source coming from planet Earth in the actual right up into the background. So like I say, like now it's just trying to find that nice little balance of where we're just putting some fog, where we're putting some highlights, where the light source is coming through, and just trying to really make sure that this building is matched into the background really well, for one, and also so we've got plenty of atmosphere into the image to give it a lot more drama and make it a little bit more dramatic. Now as you can see, this is what I said earlier, I'm going to start making some little final changes, especially to the UFO and other things like that. The tree didn't look too right. I just wanted to move it across. It just looked a little bit odd where the light stream was there coming down through the right. So don't be afraid to go back, making some changes. You don't have to stick to everything exactly the way that it's at. You can go along, make little bits and changes along the way. So obviously then we had this light source is going to be coming from the actual light, obviously onto the ground. So just trying to brighten up kind of like these right areas and trying to keep the dark areas onto the left hand side a lot more. Now I'm using it once again, some more fog brushes. You're going to use a bit of blend diff as well to make sure that balance it in. Pretty much with the ones in the foreground, we're dropping them right the way down, like the opacity and whatnot else, to really make sure that they sit in there and blend in really well. As you can see now, we're starting to take a bit of shape. Everything's starting to sit in a little bit well. Now is the very interesting parts, which is I was going through all the different color lookups, like the different filters that you can actually use just to give the image some real pop. Now I ended up using two different photo filters for this, and and it really brought the image to life, just give it that really unique feel. But when I was putting it together, it still didn't look right, so I had to make some different changes to the UFO before finally finishing it off, obviously by going in, using some camera raw, and this is the actual final outcome. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you found it useful. If you did, please drop a like, that'd be absolutely amazing. And also, if you could drop us a follow or subscribe, shall I say, that'd be absolutely fantastic. We will be making sure that we're bringing out weekly videos. But anyway, have a great day.